So today we're going deep on prepping for a Subtitler job interview.
Ooh, nice.
And you know what's cool? You brought some really interesting stuff with you, like a whole career guide
Mhm.
and a full-on interview guide.
All right.
We're going to use those to not only nail those common questions, but like actually understand what being a subtitler is all about.
Yeah, and we're even gonna.
Oh, and get this, we'll sprinkle in how RoleCatcher can like help you out, with their AI and all that.
Very smart. Bringing those resources, that's a great starting point. Let's make sure you feel super confident going into that interview.
Okay, so first up, this career guide.
Okay.
I was reading through Subtitler, the complete career guide, and it
Mhm.
called Subtitlers Invisible Storytellers.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
You're basically making sure everyone can follow the story no matter like if they have hearing difficulties or speak a different language.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about accessibility and making sure everyone can understand what's going on.
Totally. And it's like a booming industry right now.
It really is.
With all the streaming services and global content,
Huge demand.
everyone needs subtitlers.
Everyone.
So this guide also has some pros and cons.
Right, right.
It mentions like flexibility and working with different languages, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But it also talks about like tight deadlines, and sometimes the work can get repetitive.
Yeah, that's true. Always good to keep in mind the good and the bad.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where something like RoleCatcher can be really helpful. Their AI can look at a job description and tell you exactly what skills you should be highlighting on your CV.
Oh, wow. That would save so much time.
Totally.
And I also read about their Getting Discovered thing, which sounds super cool.
Yeah.
It's where like employers can actually find you based on your skills.
Yes,
So you're not just sending out applications into the void.
exactly,
I
exactly.
think I'm gonna have to check that out.
Definitely worth exploring. But for now, let's focus on those interview questions.
All right, let's do it.
We've got the Subtitler, the Complete Career Interview Guide.
Yeah.
It's got 8 key questions.
Okay.
So let's go through them one by one.
Perfect. Question number 1.
Okay.
How did you become interested in subtitling?
All right.
Now, this one seems like pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
But the guide says it's all about like showing genuine passion. So
absolutely.
not just about what you've done, but like what excites you about subtitling.
Yes, they want to see that spark. Like what really drew you in? Was it a specific film with amazing subtitles that kind of opened your eyes to it? Or was there a moment when you were translating something and it just clicked and you're like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. The guide also says to mention any relevant experience,
For sure.
but like it doesn't have to be, directly subtitling work. Like, did you ever volunteer translating for like a community group? Or maybe you took a linguistics class that you loved?
Yeah, anything that kind of connects the dots to show that this isn't just, a random application for you. This is something you're truly passionate about.
Got it.
Okay, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay, hit me.
How do you ensure that your subtitles are accurate and consistent?
Ooh, now we're getting to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the real deal. Accuracy is everything in subtitling. One tiny mistake can, totally change what a scene means. So they want to know you have a solid process in place.
So the guide says to describe your verification process step by step.
Yes.
Do you double check against the script? What kind of software do you use?
Yeah.
Do you ever consult with native speakers?
Absolutely. This is your chance to show off your attention to detail. And it might even lead to a follow-up question.
Oh, like what?
Like, can you tell me about a time when you caught a significant error during your quality control process?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. So it's not just about saying you're careful, it's about proving it.
Okay, I like it.
All right, moving on. Question number 3. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision or solve a problem while subtitling?
The classic, tell me about a time question.
Yes. They're looking for your problem-solving skills, how you handle those tricky situations. Subtitling often has tight deadlines and unexpected challenges, so they want to know you can adapt.
So the guide says to pick an example that highlights your strengths.
Exactly.
Like maybe you had to condense a complex dialogue
Oh.
into a really limited number of characters.
Yeah, or maybe you had to find a creative way to translate a cultural joke that, doesn't have a direct equivalent in the target language.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are great examples.
Okay, so question 4 is, how do you manage your time and prioritize your workload when working on multiple projects at once?
Time management, it's the eternal struggle.
You tell me about it.
But for subtitlers, it's crucial because they're often juggling multiple projects at the same time, so the interviewer wants to know that you can handle the pressure and, meet those deadlines.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the guide says to, describe your specific process.
Mm.
Do you use a planner, task management apps?
Yeah, and be specific. Don't just say, I'm organized. Give them a concrete example. Like, I create a weekly schedule, blocking out time for each project, and I always overestimate how long I'll need just in case any issues come up.
Ooh, that's smart. And you know what? This is where RoleCatcher can really help because their AI can analyze those job descriptions and actually tell you if a company really cares about certain time management skills.
Yeah, that's true. So if you know that a company values, say, agile methodologies, you can mention your experience with that in your answer.
Right. It's all about showing you're a perfect fit.
Exactly.
Okay, so question number 5.
Let's hear it.
Is how do you stay up to date with industry trends and new technology in subtitling?
Okay, this is all about showing that you're committed to growing as a professional.
Okay, so the guide says to mention things like conferences, publications, or online forums where you engage with other subtitlers.
Yeah, but don't just list them off. Explain, what you actually get out of those resources.
Okay.
For example, I'm part of an online community where we discuss new subtitling software and share tips for handling tricky translations. Something like that.
I see. And don't forget, RoleCatcher has a ton of resources on industry trends and new technology. You can use their platform to stay informed and see what skills are in high demand.
Absolutely. It's like having a personal guide to help you stay ahead of the game.
All right. Question 6 is, how do you handle feedback or criticism from clients or colleagues?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about showing that you're professional and you're open to learning, even when it's tough.
They want to know that you can take constructive criticism without getting defensive.
So the guide says to describe your process for receiving feedback.
Right.
Do you actively listen? Do you ask questions to clarify? Do you try to stay open-minded, even if you don't love the feedback?
Exactly. And this is also a great time to mention a specific example where you took feedback, implemented it and actually saw positive results.
Oh, right, because that shows you actually learn and grow from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 7 is, can you describe a time when you had to work with a team to complete a subtitling project?
Okay.
Now, this one's all about collaboration, right?
Yeah. Huge in subtitling. Big projects often involve translators, editors, quality control specialists, all working together. So they want to see that you're a team player.
Okay, so the guide says to choose an example that, really showcases your teamwork skills. What was your role? How did you communicate? Were there any challenges?
And think about, the actions you took and the results you achieved.
Right.
Did you delegate tasks effectively? Did you keep everyone on the same page? Were you able to, resolve conflicts that came up?
And even if the project had some rough patches, talking about how you handled those challenges shows you're mature and that you can solve problems.
Exactly. It's all about learning and growing as a team.
Okay, last question.
All right, shoot.
Number 8 is, how do you ensure that your subtitles are culturally appropriate and sensitive?
Okay, so this one's really about showing that you understand different cultures.
Yeah. Subtitles aren't just about words. They're about, conveying cultural nuances, humor, even social and political contexts.
Right. It's a lot more complex than people think.
Yeah. They want to know that you're sensitive to those things and can handle them carefully.
Absolutely.
So the guide suggests describing your process for research and consultation.
Yes.
Do you consult with native speakers? Do you research cultural customs? Do you have a way to flag, potentially problematic language?
It's all about bridging cultures while still preserving what the original content is trying to say.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher can be a total game changer.
Oh, how so?
Because their AI can analyze those job descriptions and see if a company really cares about certain cultural sensitivities.
Right, so you can tailor your answer to show that you understand their specific values.
Totally. So we've covered all 8 key questions.
We did it.
But there's still so much more to unpack.
Oh, yeah.
In part 2, we're going to dive into some sample responses so you'll have concrete examples that you can actually use in your own interview.
I like it.
And of course, we'll keep exploring how RoleCatcher's AI can help you, fine-tune your answers.
It's going to be good.
Give you that extra edge. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. In part 1, we broke down those 8 crucial interview questions from the Subtitler, the Complete Career Interview Guide.
Right.
And now we're going to dive into some sample responses.
All right. Yeah, give us some concrete examples that we can actually, use.
Exactly. Because remember, these are just starting points.
Oh.
The goal is to give you a framework that you can build on Add your own personality, your own experience,
Right.
make it your own.
Gotcha.
So let's go back to that first question. How did you become interested in subtitling? Remember, it's about showing that passion.
Yeah, that spark.
Right. So let's say you're someone who's always loved foreign films.
Mm-hmm.
You could say something like, ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with foreign cinema. Subtitles opened up a whole new world of storytelling for me.
Ooh, I like that.
I realized how important they were, not just for understanding the words, but for capturing the humor, the emotions, the cultural context.
That's a great start.
Yeah. Right. It shows you're genuinely enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Now, what if you have more of a background in linguistics or translation?
Okay.
You could say something like, my linguistics studies really showed me how much I love language, and I was naturally drawn to subtitling because it combines that love of language with my interest in media. Plus, it's a field where precision and cultural sensitivity are so important, and those are things that I really value.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so moving on to question 2. How do you ensure that your subtitles are accurate and consistent? Remember, this is all about your quality control process.
So important.
Yeah, so let's say you're someone who uses, professional subtitling software.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, I use name of software to maintain accuracy and consistency. It helps me with things like timing the subtitles perfectly, staying within character limits, and keeping the style consistent across the whole project.
Yeah, that's a strong answer, for sure.
On top of that, I always proofread my work multiple times, comparing it to the original script to catch any errors.
Nice. It shows that you're really serious about quality control.
Right, and remember that potential follow-up question we talked about. Can you tell me about a time when you caught a significant error?
Yeah.
Have a specific example ready to go.
Like a real-life example.
Yeah, like maybe you spotted a mistranslation that would change the whole meaning of a scene.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Because it's those real-world examples that make your answer so much stronger.
Totally.
Okay, let's tackle question 3. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision or solve a problem while subtitling?
All right, problem-solving time.
Yes. So imagine you had to translate, like a really tricky joke.
Oh, yeah.
You could say, I was working on a comedy film full of puns and wordplay. Translating those jokes directly just wouldn't have worked, so I had to find creative ways to adapt them.
Okay, how did you do that?
It took some research, collaboration with native speakers, a bit of outside-the-box thinking, but in the end, I was able to capture the humor of the original jokes.
I love that.
Right. Now, imagine a scenario where you faced a more technical challenge.
Okay.
Like fitting subtitles into, strict time limits.
Oh, yeah, that could be tough.
Yeah, so you could say something like, I remember working on a project with really fast-paced dialogue. It was tough to fit all the text in while still making it easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
I had to try different things, condensing the text, adjusting the timing a little, but it taught me a lot about being flexible and thinking on my feet.
That's awesome. It shows that you can handle the pressure.
Exactly.
Okay. Question 4. How do you manage your time and prioritize your workload when working on multiple projects at once?
Okay, this is where organization comes in.
Right.
So if you're someone who loves digital tools, you could say, I'm all about using digital tools and time management techniques to stay on top of things. I use a project management app to track deadlines, create to-do lists, and block out time for each project.
Yeah.
I also break down big projects into smaller, more manageable tasks so I don't get overwhelmed.
That's smart.
And if anything comes up, I communicate with clients or colleagues right away.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Very transparent.
Now, for the more visual people, you could say something like, I'm very visual, so I use color-coded calendars and physical to-do lists. I prioritize based on deadlines and urgency, always adding extra time for just-in-case stuff.
Oh, I love that visual approach.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to question 5. How do you stay up to date with industry trends and new technology in subtitling?
Okay, so this is about showing that you're committed to, always learning.
Exactly. So for those who love connecting with the subtitling community, you could say something like, I'm an active member of several online subtitling communities.
Mm-hmm.
We discuss new software, share tips for handling tricky translations, stay updated on what's happening in the industry. I also make time for conferences and workshops to learn from experts and connect with other professionals.
It shows that you're really invested in your field.
Right, and for those who prefer to learn on their own, you could say, I dedicate time each week to exploring online resources, reading industry publications, and trying out new subtitling software. Recently, I completed an online course on specific skill or software, which has really improved my workflow.
Nice.
All right, now let's face that potentially tough question 6. How do you handle feedback or criticism from clients or colleagues?
Right. How do we handle this one?
Remember, it's all about being professional and having a positive attitude. So you could say, I see feedback as a chance to grow. I actively listen to concerns, ask clarifying questions, and make sure I understand the feedback. I believe in open communication to ensure the highest quality work.
Yeah.
And I approach all feedback with an open mind.
That shows you're willing to learn and you can stay professional.
Now, if you're someone who likes to use feedback to improve your process, you could say, I view feedback as a valuable tool to make my work better. I take detailed notes, create checklists or guidelines to avoid similar issues in the future.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I believe embracing feedback leads to more accurate, consistent, and culturally sensitive subtitles.
Okay, I like it.
All right, let's move on to question 7. Can you describe a time when you had to work with a team to complete a subtitling project?
Teamwork time.
Right, this is your chance to shine as a team player.
Okay.
So for those who like to take the lead, you could say, I was leading a team tasked with subtitling a documentary about a sensitive historical event.
Yeah.
I facilitated communication, assigned roles based on everyone's strengths, and kept the project moving forward, with deadlines and style guidelines.
Okay.
We had some tough translations, some cultural things to consider, but through open discussion and working together, we delivered a final product that the client loved.
It sounds like you went above and beyond.
Right. And for those who thrive in a more collaborative setting, you could say, we were subtitling a foreign language TV series, and our team was super collaborative, sharing resources, knowledge, feedback, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I was translating specific episodes and always checked in with my team to make sure we were all on the same page with the style and terminology.
Mm-hmm.
We used an online platform to stay organized, talk through challenges, and, celebrate our wins.
I like it.
It was a very positive and productive experience.
Awesome. Okay, last question.
Right.
Question 8. How do you ensure that your subtitles are culturally appropriate and sensitive?
Okay, this is all about cultural awareness.
Right.
So if you're someone who prioritizes research and consultation, you could say, I approach each project with deep respect for the source culture and target audience. I research cultural nuances, idioms, sensitivities, always using reliable sources and talking to native speakers whenever I can.
Yeah.
I also consider the social and political context, to make sure my translations are accurate, respectful, and don't create any unintended meanings.
That's so important.
It is, right. And if you have a system in place for, avoiding cultural missteps, you could say, I've developed a system to ensure cultural appropriateness.
Okay, like what?
I avoid slang or colloquialisms that might not translate well. I carefully research historical or religious references, and I always talk to experts or native speakers if I'm not sure about something.
Yeah.
My goal is to create subtitles that bridge cultural gaps, but also stay true to the original content.
Okay, those are all really great sample responses.
Yeah, and remember, personalize them.
Mm-hmm.
Use your own experiences. Let your personality shine through. And don't forget about RoleCatcher.
Oh, yeah, RoleCatcher.
Their AI can help you tailor your answers to each specific job you apply for, and that can make a huge difference.
Speaking of RoleCatcher, in part 3, we're going to explore how their AI can really boost your interview prep.
Oh, yeah, we're going deep on that.
We'll see how it analyzes job descriptions, picks out those key skills, and even helps you practice your answers.
It's going to be good.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. We've talked about those tricky interview questions, practiced some great answers, and now it's time to bring in the big guns. RoleCatcher's AI.
Yes. This is where your prep goes from, good to amazing.
It really is like having a personal career coach in your corner, like one that knows exactly what employers are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking through all the info you sent, and it's kind of mind-blowing how this AI can analyze a job description and pick out the exact keywords and skills that make an application pop.
And it's not just throwing in random keywords. It actually looks at your CV and sees where there are gaps. And then it suggests improvements that match that specific job.
So smart. So let's say the job description really wants someone with experience in a particular software.
Right.
RoleCatcher's AI would see that and be like, hey, you should highlight that software when they ask about accuracy and consistency.
Exactly. You could say, I'm really good with name of software, and I noticed it's a requirement for this role. I use it to make sure my timing is perfect, that I'm staying within the character limits, and that the formatting is consistent throughout the project.
It's like you're reading their minds.
Right. Now imagine the job description talks about being culturally sensitive. RoleCatcher's AI would suggest you tweak your answer about, cultural appropriateness. You could say, I know that cultural sensitivity is super important in this role. I saw it in the job description. I always approach each project with so much respect for the source culture. I do my research, I look into all the nuances, and I consult with native speakers just to make sure my subtitles are accurate, respectful, and culturally on point.
It shows that you're not just giving, like, generic answers. You get it.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI doesn't just stop at your CV. It can help with your cover letter, those application questions, even practicing for the actual interview.
Whoa. It's like a virtual mock interview to help you get everything perfect.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it. Oh, and the getting discovered thing. So employers can actually find you based on your skills. You're not just waiting around.
Yeah, you're proactive. You're putting yourself out there.
It's amazing what tech can do these days.
Yeah.
But before we get, too lost in the AI world, let's circle back to that career guide for a second.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
Because having that big picture view of the industry just makes you a stronger candidate, right?
Absolutely.
So this Subtitler, the complete career guide, talks about the different stages of your career and how your responsibilities will probably change as you get more experience. It mentions stuff like becoming a supervisor, getting into related fields like audiovisual translation, or even going back to school for more education.
It's great to think about where you want to go in your career and how this specific job fits into those plans.
Yeah, for sure.
The interviewer might even ask about your goals, so be ready to share your vision.
Good point. And the guide also mentions competency-based questions and the competencies interviews directory. I feel like those could really help with questions that test your skills in communication, problem solving, teamwork, all that.
RoleCatcher has a whole section on that.
Yeah.
Guides, sample questions. They even have AI-powered assessments to help you figure out what you're good at and what you could improve.
It's amazing how many resources are out there.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a little something to think about. We talk about how important cultural sensitivity is in subtitling. So how would you approach subtitling a film with sensitive social or political themes for a global audience?
Something to ponder, really.
It really makes you think about the impact of your work, how to handle those situations responsibly.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. Continuous learning and growing.
Keep exploring, keep those brain cells working, and always, always stay passionate about subtitling.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Remember, knowledge is power. With the right prep and the amazing tools out there, you've got this. You can ace that interview and start an amazing career in subtitling.
We're rooting for you. Until next time, happy subtitling.